But let's talk a little bit about Mr. Godwin Emefiele. He is described as a very reserved and conservative person, but a brilliant professional banker with over 26 years of experience, as well as a BSc and an MBA in finance, both from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and other certificates from Oxford University, Harvard University, Stanford University, and the Wharton Business School in Pennsylvania. Before his appointment, he was Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer of Zenith Bank, a bank he joined from inception. Let's look at the challenges that Mr. Emefiele will be facing. We know the money supply growth that was benign has started increasing at an annualized rate of 5.3% compared to the target of 15%. Headline inflation has inched up marginally from 7.9 to 8%. The external reserves have declined sharply from a high of $48 billion in 2013 to $36.9 billion. The exchange rate value of the naira is a subject of debate on whether to adjust downwards or continue to defend it at 155 naira per dollar. The administrative tools of the cash reserve requirement at 75% for public sector deposits and 15% for private sector deposits will need to be addressed. The banking supervision and role of the Central Bank of Nigeria, an area that Mr. Sanusi strengthened, will need to be reinforced. Now, this is according to analysts at Financial Derivatives Company Limited. Now, they also listed some possible outcomes to include that in the short run, Mr. Godwin Emefiele is unlikely to depreciate the exchange value of the naira this month. He will probably await the first MPC meeting in July before taking any steps, and he will need to take time to understand fully the macroeconomic imperatives in the near term. Well, plenty for him to do, and he has a very short time to do it, especially since it is a pre-election year, and so many things will come into play. He needs to thoroughly understand the macroeconomic variables to properly put in the policies and proactive measures that will be needed. Of course, he is coming from a very strong banking background, and this should play a fundamental role in whatever decisions he will be taking along with the Monetary Policy Committee. Of course, we know that the news is out, and most of the markets are adjusting to how, this news is going, their appetite towards equities particularly. And we're going to be looking at how the market is looking like this morning. We'll talk to our correspondent, Tempo Ashaju, in just a moment. But let me quickly run you through yesterday's trading figures from the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Of course, it was the first trading day of the month of June, and the market closed slightly bullish. Of course, investors taking position as regards the new CBN governor assuming office. And so the all-share index appreciated marginally 0.07% to finish at 41,502.40. The market capitalization also appreciated, closed at 13.70 trillion naira. The top 5 price gainers for the day were Forte Oil, Nestle, Seplat Petroleum Development Company, Nigerian Breweries, Total. On the flip side of the price movement chart, investors gave Dangote Cement, Guinness Nigeria, MRS Oil, Guarantee Trust Bank, and Zenith Bank the cold shoulder, along with 21 other price depreciators. The top most actively traded stocks for the day were Axis Bank, FBN Holdings, ETI, Guarantee Trust Bank, and Zenith Bank. In all, investors in 6,063 deals exchanged 418.49 million shares for 11.54 billion naira. Our correspondent, Tempo Ashaju, joins me now. Hello, Tempo. Thank you for joining me. Now, could you just tell me what's the mood at the market? Yesterday, we saw a slightly bullish stance. The market finished at 0.07%. But how is the market reacting to the news of the new CBN governor?
The market has continued to sustain its bullish trend since Monday. I presume you know that. We saw that Friday it ended in a positive as well, in about 3%. Yesterday, of course, by 0.07%. And all that has been sustained by the banking sector as well as the oil and gas. Now, at the moment, what we see is that the market is currently flat. But there are optimism, of course, that with the inception with the coming in of the new CBN governor, the markets will continue to gain at least something good, something positive and green, of course, to be able to herald in the new CBN governor. All the players in the capital market as well as the money market are trying to do something good to encourage the the resumption of that CBN governor. Note also that you recall that the money market, Naira has actually gained by 0.25%. So all of these economic indicators are some of the things speaking to the fact that operators are looking at something that will just encourage the inception or the coming in rather of the new CBN governor.
Now, Temple, let's look at the banking stocks. They've actually fared relatively well in the last couple of trading sessions. Well, yesterday we noticed that some of the big banks were actually among the top 5 price losers, but were also among the most actively traded stocks. And so do we expect to see that change? Do we expect to see more banks being heavily patronized now?
Absolutely. You know, this is an era this is a season where someone new is coming in, someone who was actually handpicked from the banking sector, someone who was well known to a lot of the operators, to a lot of the bankers. So part of the things that the bankers, other bankers, contemporaries of Mr. Godwin Emefiele will try to do right now, and that is what they're doing actually, is to encourage investors, operators at large, as well as the regulators, to see what Mr. Emefiele will bring to the table. That is part of the reason. These are some of the reasons why you see the banking stocks performing effectively. A lot of them have gone up in prices. Yesterday, you saw that if Access Bank was one of the top gainers, ETI was one of the top gainers. Basically, the top 5 gainers in the market yesterday all emerged from the banking sector. That tells you that they're just trying to encourage, you know, the investors as well as everybody that partake in this market to, you know, embrace the taking over of the CBN governor seats by Mr. Godwin Emefiele. So we will continue to see the banking stocks moving forward at least throughout this week and next week to say. Note also that the cashless policy is meant to go around the country from July next month. So all of these indicators are some of the things that the banking operators want to help encourage the investors as well as depositors to key more into the banking business. And you know again that some of them at the moment are doing their private placements, talking about the likes of Unity Bank, and these are they're doing that just to be able to shore up their book values and get more larger tickets for transactions. So some of these indicators are some of the things that will continue to push the banking sector stocks upward. Note also that if you ask an average investor to pick one of the stocks in the market, what they want to do, what they quickly want to pick are some of the tier 1 stocks as well as tier 2 stocks. So these are some of the reasons why the banking stocks will continue to go forward.
Well, at the moment, you say the market is flat. Now, based on what you've said, we should begin to see renewed investor appetite in banking stocks. And so that should most likely push the all-share index further up. Right now, it's at 41,501.40. Where do you likely see the market ending today? Very firmly in North Territory, or will it shake a bit?
I don't see it shaking at all. Yesterday, it closed with marginal gains, even though we had negative turnovers. But because of the fact that presently we've seen the markets year to date at about 0.42%, we are going to see it going on higher and higher because a lot of people are waiting to see what Mr. Godwin Emefiele will bring, on board. Quite a number of investors have continued to buy. You notice that the buy sentiment or buy pressure right now has been in the market for some time, since last week. So that will continue to go on because people want to see what Mr. Godwin Emefiele will do in terms of the policies, that's the monetary policies, as it concerns the interest rate, as it concerns the cash reserve ratio for public and the private sectors. They will also want to see if he is going to sustain some of the initiatives that the past CBN governor has brought on board. And one of the other things that they want to get from him is some of the issues that are actually going on in the capital markets at the moment, and that also concerns investors, talking about stocks lending, that that was placed, that like an embargo was placed on it by the past CBN governor. So market operators are waiting at the moment to see if they put in their money in the market right now, will they continue to suspend the embargo on initiatives like stocks lending that are supposed to ease the market's investments for a lot of these investors. One of the other things that they are also looking at is the a kind of good alliance, good friendliness between the capital market and the money market. So we put in a lot of investment in the capital market right now. Investors, operators, stockbrokers, analysts, and all the financial players as well as economists that are involved in the market are waiting to see how the new CBN governor will be able to merge or create a good friendship between the money market and the capital market. So if this is done, apparently it is a harbinger of encouragement in the market. So with all of these concerns and issues in place, more investment will continue to come into the market before we'll now start seeing profit taking and sell pressure.
Well, thank you so much, Temple, for joining us this morning on the program. Hopefully, most investors will share your optimism there. But of course, so we'll get more details and we'll bring them to you. We'll keep tracking the markets and see how investors react to this news. Of course, you know that the new CBN governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, has assumed office. He takes over from a very capable hand, Dr. Sarah Alade, who has been in active capacity since February. Now, like what Temple says, the market will be waiting to see what his agenda will be. Will he sustain the policies that are already on ground? Will he introduce new policies? But we'll have to wait to hear from him. He says there will be a formal world press briefing on Thursday by 10 a.m. Of course, so we'll listen to that, where he will unveil his agenda for the CBN and Nigerians. But that's the program for today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Harriet Agbinyi.